Hello everyone, Ohayou gozaimasu. Welcome to Ohayou Anime. Irashaimase. We're the anime show that doesn't take place in the morning, but it is morning in Japan, so that's how we get away with it. My name is John, and we're going to be talking about anime and manga today, particularly Jujutsu Kaisen, as that show continues on, barreling towards its season finale. We'll be talking about that in spoilerific detail. And I'm going to have at least one guest to talk about that show with me. Phil, how's it going?
Hey, good. How about you?
Pretty good. Good. We started our stream early here even. I tested the other day with just a quick comic book review and now to stream live to YouTube. So I did it simultaneously to Twitch and to YouTube. So
cool.
We're live in both places now, slowly getting better at this, I guess. And
so I've always wondered that, John. I mean, you can watch it in real time on YouTube if you know when it's starting. Because I guess MG Honeybee watches in real time and comments, and Andrea has.
Yep.
How would you know that if you didn't know you?
So on Twitch is where they're usually, because that's where we've normally been streaming. And if you have a Twitch account, obviously, right, you can follow us and then be notified or whatever when we go live. If you're not following us, then it really comes down to you being on the platform at the time and looking for something related. So if you're on Twitch and you're looking for anime, you search anime, maybe you look anime and talk shows, then you could see that we're live. Okay. And or you search and you see a past live stream and it's like, okay, maybe this looks interesting. You can watch that, and then you follow or subscribe and get notified from there. So
I'm realizing I outed myself that I apparently don't follow the show on Twitch. I'm not really on Twitch, I guess.
Right. That's fine. It's I don't know what to think. I mean, that's why I'm happy to be on YouTube now as well, because there's Let's see. I'm gonna check something because I confirmed for sure that we're live on Twitch. I can see it, but YouTube is making me a little worried here, so we're going to check this before we go any further.
Good idea.
Because I've made mistakes with this sort of thing before, if you may recall.
Just the one time. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So if you search for us on there, it says you can be notified yet. So it's not saying. So I have to hit this go live, it looks like, on YouTube as well. Okay. There. Now it says we're live on YouTube as well. Okay. This makes sense. I'll check this here. There it is. Okay. All right. Now officially live.
Officially.
YouTube
official.
So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, Twitch is so much for, gaming and showing your tits, so I feel like...
Is that what it's for? I didn't realize that. I thought it was...
I feel like it. I mean... No, if you...
You mean just hot gamer girls who are wearing revealing clothes, or literally people flashing...
No, yeah, okay. So the controversy, of the week here is that someone did some sort of topless thing on Twitch, and Twitch allowed it because it was artistic.
Interesting.
Normally are against, you can't do nudity on Twitch.
Well, sure. I mean, it's there's other platforms for such things like OnlyFans or...
Yeah. So it was...
on that line.
The whole bunch of people, got upset about whatever. I think they're walking that back now or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting what Twitch feeds you if you just sign up and go on there, and what kind of things they surface for you is some weird stuff for sure. But yeah. I don't know what the best platform is. I think it's best that we try to be in different places.
Sure,
So
for sure. Yeah,
yeah.
agreed.
So the way this will work now is we'll be on Twitch. You can follow us there and comment. We'll be on YouTube. You can follow us there and comment. I have both screens up or whatever. And then the live stream will like kind of cut down any extra stuff at the beginning and like normal. And I'll post that. That'll go to podcast services. So you can follow us there if you don't want to do all this live streamy stuff.
Right. I'm gonna say I don't. I mean, I don't watch a lot of stuff live stream because I like to watch it like when I'm, or watch such things when I'm like also doing something.
Sure.
Like, oh, I'm doing the dishes. I'm going to watch this podcast.
See, but if someone happens to be, maybe someone's doing the dishes right now and we're live.
True.
I mean,
yeah.
I still like a thing that is, there are things that I will watch only if they're live. If I happen to catch them live, I will watch them.
Sure.
But it's not worth me going back to watch it later.
Oh. Okay.
So it's just like a thing where you can be in the moment with other people and experiencing the same thing kind of stuff. You can chat in the chat if you want or whatever.
Sure.
And that's kind of the only experience I want from it. I don't care about
like a live sporting event. It's like, I don't want to watch a rerun of this football game. I want to experience it in real time as other people are experiencing it. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And, obviously, if you're a big fan, but for me with if it was a football game, I'm probably not going back to watch it. I'll just find out what the score was.
Same, and I am a pretty big like fan of. I mean, I play fantasy football and stuff, so I don't always agree with like. It seems pretty dangerous, but Anyway, but yes, I'm a fan, and I wouldn't go back and watch a rerun or like after the fact either. I just look at the score. So.
Yep.
Maybe watch the highlights.
Okay, so let's see. What's we're gonna have Tony jumping in here and probably talk about a couple things yet before we get into the main event. But
that's good.
First, let's get an update. What have you been managing to watch? Anything? Have you been in an anime watching kind of mood, or been in something else? Or?
For the most part, I have. So I am watching. I decided I needed to just after. I think I mentioned on the last podcast when you and I and Mike were talking about it, and I was saying I'm having trouble like finding shows and narrowing it down and sticking with different shows, and I feel like I haven't found one that really excites me a lot. Hey, Tony.
What up? How's it going, guys?
Good.
Going well. Yeah.
We're just getting caught up. See what Phil's been watching here.
Right. So anyway, long story short, I think I may have mentioned. I can't remember if I mentioned on the podcast episode or if we were just texting about it, John. But I was like, I'm going to focus on these 3 shows. And anyway, I'm watching Summertime Rendering. I'm watching Frieren Journey's End, and I'm watching that racing one that Mike told Overtake. Thank you. Overtake! Exclamation point. Which I'm liking. They're all really good. They're all very different. So it's a good. Andrea, I think, commented last time that she likes to have a couple. She's watching like one serious, one more like maybe slice of life or romantic comedy or something for like a palate cleanser. And so I have 3 different ones because Summertime Rendering is like very much like weird mystery going on. It's sometimes suspenseful, sometimes scary, sometimes a little violent. Like, so it's a good. It reminds me a little bit of John Heavenly Delusion, not in any sort of way like the storyline. Nothing about it's the same, but just the same type of show.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah. No, that definitely It has a mystery and is pretty. What's the word? It's pretty severe. Like it's not drawn or presented in some sort of like harsh, berserk sort of anime thing, but it's just like consequences are real.
Yes.
And meaningful shit happens.
And then there's some like sci-fi elements, but it's not like presented as like a sci-fi show.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it's really good. And then Frieren Journey's End. So I'm like, so I would say I'm, half dozen, maybe 8 episodes into Summertime Rendering. I'm 5 or 6 episodes into Freer and Journey's End, which is that one about I think we've talked on the show, some elf mage who is like grappling with the fact that she's gonna outlive all of her like people she used to like journey with, and they've defeated a Dark Lord together, and so it's like take Elrond from Lord of the Rings and then make a movie about him after all of his compadres died after they defeated Sauron the first time, you know. So it's, I don't know. So it's kind of that kind of a vibe. It's like an introspective type thing. It's really it's good though. And then what was the last one I said? Oh, Overtake, really good. It's like Mike's talked about on the show. I don't need to go back and rehash everything Mike said. I'm probably 4 or 5 episodes into that. Really good. It's quite funny. I don't know if Mike had mentioned that last time, but there's some parts that were making me just laugh out loud, and so I was texting Mike about it a couple weeks ago. And then I actually threw in a fourth. You know, I had mentioned I had been watching, or I tried. Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon on a recommendation from a friend that I tabletop game with virtually, and I had tried it, and I realized the first time I tried it, I really had been like really sleepy because I didn't remember hardly any of it. But I started it maybe a week ago, and I'm in like season 3 now. So I've been watching more than anything, frankly.
Nice. Okay.
And it's quite good. It's like, it's kind of this mix. And John, I know you watched season 1, but just for the viewers and for Tony, if you haven't seen it, Tony, it's kind of it's like isekai, but not. I mean, it's because he doesn't actually get transported there. He just is part of this world, but it's like kind of a fantasy isekai Dungeons and Dragons type of show where it's like you're part of a party and you like go to the dungeon and try to do different levels and like level up. And it's also sort of technically like a harem anime, I guess, technically, but just as it only presents as such that there's like just many women who are interested in the main protagonist. But he's not like
the definition of a harem, yes.
Yeah, but sure.
That's the definition.
But nothing ever really happens. He's very embarrassed by the attention he gets, and he doesn't like know what to do with any of it.
That's an anime harem, yes.
Yeah, that's such a trope.
But he's not like pervy. He's not like pervy, and it's not like super in your face. I think it's a good show. Of other shows being leaning much harder into that aspect. I don't think this one leans particularly that hard into it, but maybe I just haven't seen other ones for comparison. Sure. But it's quite fun. And I was told, I think I mentioned this on a different episode, but I was told that in like I thought it was season 3, but my friend that recommended it actually said it's season 4, it starts getting wild. And so I'm not exactly sure what is going to be. I'm just starting season 3. So, and then I just have to put one plug in for a non-anime, not even an animated show at all, but, and I'm not going to plug it as in like the messaging or anything like that, but I did watch.
The message.
Well, yeah, you know, it's like I think it's gotten some like political flack, but I didn't particularly think it was political, but it doesn't matter. It's still a cool movie from like a suspenseful, freaky standpoint, but Leave the World Behind on Netflix. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. It's like Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke, who I really like Ethan Hawke, and that's part of the reason I watched it. But it's like
not heard of that. Those are big names.
Cool. I don't want to give anything away about it, but it's not a scary movie, but it's deeply unsettling. And whether it's like the events could actually happen or not, they probably could, frankly. But
I just want to quickly say, Corey Barton is in the chat. Appreciate you jumping in. Hello, Corey. Corey is a comic book artist, really cool guy. So,
that's awesome.
Well, welcome. Yeah.
But anyways, yes, Phil. I have definitely heard of it. It's definitely one of the like newer, I don't know, controversies or hot topics of the week. I'd say now since it's released or whatever.
I think there's a couple of lines in it that cause some people to be like, "Oh, they're trying to make a social statement," which is like, maybe they are. I don't know, but it was still just a cool movie. I thought, and really freaky without being like a scary movie. It's hard. I don't want to say more to do any spoilers, but it's cool. I will say it's like a 2.5 hour long movie, and I was like glued to it the whole time. So
cool. It's on Netflix, Tony. I'm sure you'll see it if it's on Netflix there. Yeah. How about, Tony, how about you? Have you been managing any anime?
Little bit, yeah. I've been kind of like running the whole spectrum. I've been kind of cramped for time, mainly because with the holidays coming up, I like to take my time off, but that means like burn all of my work prior to like taking time off. So in the hours that I have had some free time, I've been catching up with MF Ghost, because I know Mike and I have been kind of texting back and forth. I'm 2 episodes behind, but that's because as you like to make fun of me, John, I have to, because I started watching in English, I didn't realize that it was like not like it wasn't both being English and Japanese at the same time. So now I'm like 2 episodes behind because it switched to Japanese. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just started playing it in Japanese, and I'm like, I can't do it. Like it's completely different in Japanese. So I was like, I'll just wait. So I'm doing MF Ghost. I've been doing some, of course, we have Blue Eye Samurai on Netflix. I'm like 3 or 4 episodes into that.
Nice.
And then that was funny because in like our comment chain, I was like, oh, John doesn't like it. That's surprising. Because I was like, this is actually like legitimately a good show. Like, I actually liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
If in fairness,
I think you would like it if you saw it and it didn't have all the other stuff attached to it. The popularity stuff.
So what's attached to it? Because I'm so far out of the like dogma or whatever.
I just got the impression, and John, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it was just like it was being hyped to be too big of a thing, and so you were like, I just don't even want to deal with it.
Look, I don't hear the show is not set up for me. Okay, like so. First, when it was first unveiled, I'm like, okay, what's a CG cartoon? I'm not a fan typically of CG animated things. Now, that's it. That is a large blanket statement. I normally mean CG anime because the way CG is incorporated into anime, it's not particularly my favorite thing. Doesn't mean like, a Pixar film or like Arcane we've talked about, that's a very different art style or whatever. So, but when it comes to anime, the way it's normally done, I'm not particularly a big fan. So that was one knock. 2, people lumping it in with anime when it's not anime.
Yeah, it's not anime, technically.
Yeah,
it's the second knock. Second knock. Then I go and we don't...
and so
we don't normally get
sending you links about articles about the show.
No, so we don't normally get political on the show, so that's why I just basically avoided it, whatever. But it's just like when I look up the basic description on Wikipedia, immediately I'm like, no, this is not something I need to see right now. And then all the glorious articles that came out, I immediately know there's a problem when something is so highly praised out of the blue, and a lot of these articles seem to focus on the importance of the show, not how good the show is. And I think there's so many articles about the show because not only is it in their mind an important show, it also happens to be really well done. Because usually it doesn't work out that way. Usually it's like, this show is really important. This show delivers the message. This is something you need to see. This is so relevant right now. All that sort of thing. But then the show itself is actually poorly done. So as soon as a show that comes along that has all those things, but is also really well done, it's like, oh my God, everybody's got to watch this thing. So... that's why I've avoided it like the plague.
I didn't think it was like overly political myself, I guess, but
I didn't see that. So that was like when the chat was going back and forth, the chat between everybody. First of all, I thought the number that was sending all the articles, for some reason, I thought that was Andrea. And I was like, Andrea making some like serious comments.
That's me.
Okay, that makes more sense. I got to enter that number in, so now I know it's you.
There you go. Okay, cool.
But, yeah, it's so funny because I was watching the show and I'm like, oh, this is I dig it. Like I can dig this like narrative. Like the kind of Ronin type samurai. That's
kind
like,
of a revenge narrative.
I'm like, yeah, I'm down for this. But then everyone's like, oh, the message, oh, the this, that, and the articles, and I'm like, it's not like groundbreaking. Like it doesn't go like, it's not like, you went to see Avatar by James Cameron when it went in theaters. Like that blew my damn mind.
Yeah.
But like this was like, oh, it's a Netflix show that's good. So like, usually you're like when Netflix shows, you're hitting like 1 out of every 15 are good with how often they pump stuff out. So you're
right.
1 out of 15 maybe is good.
Right.
It's like, oh, cool, legitimate. But yeah, I do not consider that anime. I think it's a good homage to like that era of feudal Japan and like kind of the cool story wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned another movie that I hate, Avatar.
You hate Avatar?
Here's the thing about Avatar. Quick side guess. I know this is like completely off topic. Because I just had this conversation with one of my other buddies. When that movie came out in theaters, so shout out to the chat. If you did not see Avatar when it came out in theaters at the time, it's really hard to describe this, but seeing that in the 3D sense that James Cameron shot it in theaters, that movie it was mind blowing. Like the visual effects were just completely mind blowing on IMAX. Like I could not believe how good that movie was.
Yeah,
but here's the thing: that movie on a 60-inch LED TV in your living room with the lights on, it's Fern Gully. With people,
which is also a classic. So
and Ferngully had Robin Williams, so that movie had everything that you needed out of a movie. Like that.
Yeah, true. Avatar has Giovanni Ribisi, so he's a phenomenal. So
true.
I love
that's why I like that movie. I watched the second one. Now here's why: because I watched the second one on my TV. I didn't go to theaters for that.
No, me neither.
The second one, and I was like, okay.
Well, I also think you knew what you were going to get. It wasn't like in like a whoa. This is I'm shocked by how cool and big and different.
And that was like the only good 3D movie to come out that I remember.
Oh yeah.
Because after that, it was like everything started coming out in 3D, but you knew it wasn't really made for 3D, so it was like really like I remember Clash of the Titans came out.
Yeah, I watched that too. Terrible.
Super bad. In 3D.
It's really bad. But I'm glad that kind of went away. 3D.
Me too.
Me too. It was obviously ill-conceived. And then back in the time when it was popular, I wore glasses, so I doubly found it very annoying. Yeah, you told me you wore glasses. I got LASIK a couple years ago, but I used to wear glasses exclusively, pretty much. And it was just like now I have to wear 2 pairs of frickin' spectacles. It was just like really annoying.
Yeah.
I remember I had to go and buy contacts on like a Tuesday because I knew I was going to go to the movies on a Friday.
Yeah, it's such a pain. But
dude,
are you nearsighted?
I am.
So you can't see far away without your glasses.
I can't see things far away.
Have you ever looked into getting LASIK?
Okay, so I have.
Change your life, man. Change your life.
I'm freaked out by having a laser.
It ain't no thing. John, you had LASIK too, didn't you?
Yeah. Yep.
It's not a big deal, man. It's like
you both got it.
It's like it's like a 2-minute per eye. Not even. I think I was literally getting the actual procedure took maybe 5.5 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, healing is definitely like worse than the procedure. The procedure is quick and nothing.
Well, healing now I heard is different. Like healing back then, it's like you had to do eye drops like every.
Yeah, you still have to do that. And the hardest thing was you have to be careful. You can't rub your eyes for quite a few weeks. But you just get used to it. You're kind of like, I'm just going to like itch it right there to get that itch. You just figure it out. It's doable for like, anyway, look into it. A lot of places will do free
consultation.
like free
Yeah,
consultation, and they'll tell you if you're a good
Yep.
candidate or not. But
Yep.
it is so nice not to have to wear glasses or contacts and just have good vision. I mean, you're probably like me. You have had worn glasses for most of your life, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. Until I was probably 34. I've had to give out for like 3 years. So I was just like doing like sports type stuff, going swimming in the lake, going like water sports, like boating, going camping and not having to I remember camping and having to like put my contacts in the little dish, and it's like you get like grit and stuff in there. It's just like, this is the worst. Yeah. You're not, falling asleep with your contacts in, getting up at night and bumping into your bed because you can't see where you're going. Like, and you can wear sunglasses without having to worry about, like, do I have contacts in? Do I have to get prescription sunglasses?
Phil, what outfit is paying you right now?
If you lived up by me still, I'd have a recommendation for where I got mine done, but I know you live down south now, right? So
I live about as far south as you can get.
Right. So you'll have to find your own place. But I will say, don't go to one of those radio places that are like, we can do it for $200 per eye. Like, if there's something you don't want to go bargain basement on, it's your eye surgeon. So go to like a legit place. Every
time I hear one of those commercials, they're like, we got the season greetings. Get LASIK for like $200.
No.
Total. Like this whole, I always think of the scene in Minority Report where Tom Cruise is like, got his eyes removed to get new ones put in. And he's like moving around the apartment with like strings. I'm like, that is what your future is.
Right. But yeah, I mean, but a lot of places also will do like, I mean, because if you're dropping $2 or $3 grand, which I think doesn't insurance cover it? I think I got a discount, but I didn't have true vision insurance. I had one of those VSP vision like discount cards, which gives you like discounts on glasses and contacts, or
not like, both, just one over a 12-month period. One or the other. I got that like 2 years ago. Right. So I got like a 15% discount with my this discount card thing, and it ended up being like $3,300. But then the place was like, yeah, you can do like 3 years no interest financing or 2 years no interest financing. I was like, great, let's do that. I mean, so I just paid $150 a month for like 2 years. I mean, I learned this because I run Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I realized that like it covers way more than I thought. Oh, there you go. Thought it did. Maybe your insurance will cover it. Mine didn't, but people probably do have true vision insurance, and that might cover a bunch of it. So worth looking into for sure. It's pretty awesome. So shout out Corey. Welcome to Anime with talk about vision insurance and my bad. Brought to you by Phil. Whenever we get someone talks about vision, or I'm like, have you tried LASIK? Have you heard? It's like, have you heard the good news?
I understand.
I got a
laser eye surgery.
Corey's probably
I do the same thing.
What the hell is this?
We go into various different topics on occasion.
Well, we got to talk about a few things before we get into the show. Otherwise, you're going to have to leave, Tony, because because I'm like,
spoilers. Oh, have you been watching more Jujutsu Kaisen? I know you're behind us, but
so I am like 10 episodes in to season 1, guys. Okay. Season 1. Okay. So I have all of next week off, so I'm hoping to burn through some Jujutsu Kaisen, and then so I found out this is great. We're gonna bring back old school now. Okay. Dragon Ball Z, right? Let's talk about Dragon Ball Z. Sure. This is the joy I
know very little about it, but we can talk about it. That's fine.
This is you're gonna love this film.
Okay.
I didn't realize that you don't really have to be watching that show to really understand what's going on. Okay. So like I found myself putting it on and then doing chores because I will do chores for about an hour and a half, right? Clean the kitchen, wash the floors, get the bottles all cleaned for Bailey and all that kind of stuff. And an hour and a half goes by and maybe 20 minutes of actual content has passed in Dragon Ball Z, outside of like, so it's like, oh, they're fighting Frieza, or they're like about to fight Frieza, right? And it was like,
for like multiple episodes.
Yeah, it was 5 episodes of them talking about
Preparing
what they had to do with these Dragon Balls to maybe beat Frieza, and then they didn't, but then Frieza found out. And it's like, okay, so that was 5 episodes of like 10 minutes of actual content.
Right.
So this brings up, I mean, what we've talked about quite a bit on the podcast now is like the pacing of particularly Demon Slayer and now Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
You know, you have the benefit now of watching Dragon Ball Z. You're going through it. You can watch it at any rate you want. We're forced now. We're watching something like Jujutsu Kaisen, 1 episode a week. You know, I watched all 3 of them. Ones we're going to talk about tonight. I watched them all tonight.
Wow.
So I just wait. I just watch them all
right now.
Yeah. But, you know, I suppose the answer is a balance. But do you want a show like Dragon Ball Z that is highly praised, it's been around for a very long time, to kind of stretch out the content in the sense that, you know, we have a battle and it takes even a long time for the battle to begin. And then there's a lot of time in the battle where there's moments of pause and you wait for something to happen again? Or do you want something like Demon Slayer or Jujutsu Kaisen that maybe not all that much is happening large scale in the plot, but there's constantly action happening. There's constantly things going on. And if you do look away, you will miss something of it. Now, the question is, will you miss something of consequence in that episode or not? I don't, you know, probably varies, but you know, it's you're only 10 episodes in. It's probably very different in Jujutsu Kaisen, but in comparing, contrasting that to Dragon Ball Z,
I will say I think Jujutsu Kaisen has a better pace in the sense that I don't feel like it's like, oh my God, we're talking about the same thing. And it's been 4 episodes. Like, I feel like the pacing is good where like 2 episodes will go by and they kind of are like, we talked about this. We left it on a cliffhanger because everything's got to be left on a cliffhanger nowadays. And then, you know, you go to the next episode and then they kind of wrap up what they were talking about and then it kind of keeps moving. Dragon Ball, I will say this, Dragon Ball Z, I get now what everyone tells me that, hey, there are watch lists online that cut down the amount you actually have to watch. There's like the Dragon Ball Z Kai, which is like the sped up version of it. Because, I mean, I watched it and I'm like, holy shit, it's been 5 episodes and we haven't done anything. That is what 2, 4, 6, 8. That's like it's what 110 minutes of nothing, and it's just like, let's go.
I think I'd have a hard time with
get
that.
Off the pot, Goku. Let's go.
Right.
You're selling Phil on Dragon Ball. Selling
so excited. Yeah.
I will say but in saying this, right, in the pacing, I think the pacing for the time, right? I mean, it came out when there wasn't streaming. You only got that like once a week episode, right? So you always, if I had to watch that though and then wait a week, it'd piss me off because right. And then you're like, nothing happened. I have to wait another week.
Seems like it would only be tolerable if you could binge it.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of why it gets through. It's a different mindset, different time, but also in saying that though, I get why it's really popular. Like, the concept, the art style, the character development, the characters themselves. It's really engaging. You're like, I really like these characters. Okay,
well, maybe I do need to give it a try sometime. Well, and to your point, also, you know, it's from a different time, and you know, like people back in the 90s when this was coming out had never seen 2023 Jujutsu Kaisen. So it's like, I mean, there's other really cool anime out there, obviously, but I mean, obviously these mediums are improving over time.
Well, it's just your access to it is insane. I mean, that's going to be like the hardest part. I was thinking about this yesterday, talking about my daughter Bailey. Like, how are you going to describe this to, you know, my daughter when she grows up? Is like the access to anything you want at any point in time,
right?
Is to me is still mind blowing.
Sure.
Because I remember going to Byerly's or Target and they had like the TV guide like flip through thing where they gave you like that what was it, like that month? I think it was like that month of TV programming and like what time everything was going to be on.
Yep.
And like, that was like, you're like, oh my God, I now know.
Right.
But to just like, to your point, like Jujutsu Kaisen, like I can watch the entire thing whenever I want.
Right. It is strange. Well, you just have to explain it to her, like, and just tell her, and then she'll be like, okay, Dad.
Okay, Grandpa.
When I was a kid, I could get a hot dog for a nickel. Like that. So, it'll be like what we heard that from our grandparents, like, okay, Grandpa, sure. Sounds good.
Mine is that, and you can't buy a bottomless cup of coffee for $1.50 anymore. And Nicole, my wife, she goes, yeah, you can. Perkins is $1.50. I'm like, no, Perkins is $2.10.
Well, still pretty good.
Well, okay. So it is still amazing that we can do that. Everything's at our fingertips. I still don't know that it's good for us. Like ultimately, just logically, it makes sense. You can watch, listen to whatever from all over the world at your leisure whenever you feel like it. But there's also a thing where we're molding society to a point where there is no delayed gratification, and we thrive on delayed gratification because that's when something is then therefore meaningful. It's one of those things like nothing easy, nothing, good was you ever achieved easy or something like that.
Nothing worth
work
it
hard
is easy.
Yeah,
true.
And it's that one philosopher that I've shared with you, Tony, and you'd heard him before too, wherever he's very like monk sort of Zen kind of.
Is it Alan Watts?
Yeah, Alan Watts. Yeah. He quite a while ago was just talking about like, creating a push button society, where everything is there at a push of a button. And again, logically, it's good. I just don't know that mentally it is. Like if a kid is growing up and can't go to, say, the doctor's office and sit in, okay, here's a perfect example. I was out getting groceries today, and the bell ringer person, right?
The Salvation Army?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was having a sit with kind of like still sort of tapping his bell or whatever, and looking at his phone. And 15 years ago, you really wouldn't have anything like that. You would just be like, I'm going to take my break. And now you have to sit maybe with your thoughts.
Sure.
You have to like, maybe you strike up conversation with someone else, like whatever. There's a value, I think, to that versus like, I have to always be consuming something else. I can never be with myself, and anything I want at any time, I can just retrieve. And I think it's making things taste dull. I think it's making society.
Like if you're just existing, it's like boring.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think it's twofold, right? Because so I have that problem where like I'll be watching Jujutsu Kaisen or watching a show, and all of a sudden, like I don't even know I'm doing it, and it's like.
Right.
Like it's just like you're just like on your phone, like, and I'm like, why am I on my phone right now? Like I'm watching something. Why did I pick this up?
Right.
And you're like, I'm scrolling Reddit. I'm scrolling, YouTube shorts, and I'm like, literally, I'm trying to watch a show. Why am I
watching two things at once? Yeah. We all do it, I think.
And I have ADHD, so like I've struggled with that my whole life. But like now it's like an hyperdrive. But the idea of having everything at the push of a button, or everything consumed very easily, has led to what I think is, and I'm sure, John, you've probably talked about this on the show, is a saturation of everything. So when I was younger, like you would watch shows on TV and you were so enraptured. One is, and this is going to sound super like old, me being an old curmudgeon person.
Well, we're old now, but
the shows were probably good, right? They were mostly good when I was younger because honestly, they had to be. Like you had to have a really decent show, or a show that was with the times, or a show that had something unique. because you were given a slot, and that
Mhm.
was your slot,
Mhm.
and you had to make the most of it, right?
And
Because
if you don't get good ratings, you're going to
yeah,
get
you
shows
don't get
will get
ratings, you're
canceled.
gone.
Yep.
You're gone.
Yep.
Right? So like, and like I thought it was great when you had like 2 slots, like one of them be like the new episode, and then you got like 2 reruns after, so you got like an hour and a half of like the show, and that was awesome.
Yep.
Whereas now it's like 15 minutes in, I can be like, and then switch to something else.
Yep.
Like, and then switch to something else.
Yep. They used to like schedule programming around certain days. Like they'd like must see TV on Wednesday or Thursday, and then they had, TGIF on Friday. And
prime time.
I mean, then you would know like, oh, I know on Thursdays I watch TV, or on Fridays my family. I grew up mostly in the 90s. My family every Friday we're watching TGIF, pops and popcorn. It's like that's what you do. I don't know. It's like kind of and again. Yes. So I agree with you, Tony. Basically,
it's not to say there aren't benefits in that, but it's a good point. I talked with Mike was on the show a bit ago, and we talked about I was kind of asking him because he sort of thinks this way too about games, and some people out there think with Game Pass being a thing and more subscription services going there, it's like the pressure is sort of off on any one game to be enough value for something, because the service has to be of value, not the one entity. So like if you're going to go to the store and you want to get a game and you're buying a game, that game better be good. Versus if you pay for a subscription service, it's like, well, it's free for my service, so it's fine. And then you jump to many different ones, and then you end up not finishing a whole bunch of others.
Right.
It's just, I don't know what to do about it. And I think ultimately what's going to matter for society, is it going to matter, all this stuff, whether it's push button society, whether it's a degradation in quality because we can just flip to whatever, and it doesn't have to be, it's not always on the chopping block necessarily.
Sure.
Is it going to matter to society, or is it just going to make, like, I don't know, people a little less happy and make content a little worse?
Maybe. Yeah.
It bothers me. So I'm okay with subscriptions for certain. Like I have Game Pass, and honestly, shout out to Game Pass if they want to sponsor this podcast. Get it if you don't have it. It's worth it. Why not?
If you're listening, Phil, Dominus, Maximus, Aurelius, Spencer will sponsor. We will promote Game Pass.
Yeah, we'll take Game Pass. Yeah,
sure. So like I don't show a lot of stuff. Game Pass is actually worth it, and that's just because
Phil's got LASIK.
Yep.
Phil's got eye surgery.
LASIK to sponsor.
Tony, you've got
LASIK company.
Game Pass.
LASIK company. Yep.
So anybody who's watching right now who's like, I thought we were going to talk about anime. What the hell? No, we're shilling crap right now. No, but so like the Game Pass is worth it because you are busy, and so I get picky about what games I want to play.
Mm-hmm.
I have actually done one where I've played a game on Game Pass and actually gone to Steam and buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And if people ask why I don't buy it on Microsoft Store and instead of Steam, mods. That's why I buy it on Steam. But to your point though, where I get bothered by the subscription purchase is if I purchase something digital, I expect to own it forever outright.
Mm-hmm.
I bought it. I expect to own it.
But you don't.
But you don't. Here's an example. The Grid, was it the Grid or was it The Crew? I can't remember. One of the 2 games this week shut their servers down. There is no offline version of that game. Meaning, if you bought that game, you can no longer play it.
Ever again?
What? Like, you spent, at the time, $60 on this game, and then 10 years go by? 7 years go by? And now you're like, oh yeah, by the way, sucks to be you can't play it anymore.
Yeah.
You can't see it, this on the other side, full of N64 games. I can play them anytime I want. Paid $50 for them, right?
Yeah.
Play them anytime I want. And that's where it gets bothersome to me. Right.
Sure.
That's why I'm not up to. That's why I do not like the idea of subscription services coming to automotives either. BMW's done this and they flirted with it and it was a disaster. Mercedes is flirting with it and it's going to be a disaster. If I buy a car, I do not want to pay a subscription for fucking heated seats.
No.
Because if I own it, and then because if I buy a car, I keep it from 10 to 15 years. Like, I don't like to dump cars that often unless they're really bad.
Yeah.
But if you're saying after 7 years I don't have heated seats anymore, even though I bought heated seats because I'm not paying monthly for them,
that's a big part of my issue with Tesla too. Like, always one of my things is like, there'll be features in the car that is capable of, but you can't use them unless you pay to unlock them. I don't like that kind of thing.
I don't like that at all.
No.
And they did that with media purchasing too. It was what was the God? It was, I'm so sorry, John. It was in the news. It was if you bought. There was a show that if you bought it from, I want to say Amazon.
Well, just last week, maybe this is the one. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. Andrew and I covered a thing. It's with Sony, and actually on Sony, if you'd bought a whole bunch of content, particularly from Discovery. So it'd be like Cash Cab or, a bunch of those reality shows and all that sort of thing. Their deal is done now or something. There's some rights problem. And if you bought all those, they're gone.
Yeah.
You can't even download them now and then keep them to something. They're just, it won't play. You won't have access to it.
Wow. I have a much way cooler example than any of the ones you guys have given so far.
Okay.
I just recently tried to play the movie for my children, OG Frosty the Snowman, that I had purchased like a year ago or maybe 2 years ago on Amazon Prime. And now it's just like, this movie is no longer available. I bought the movie because my kids love watching it during the holidays. I mean, I do too.
See, it's great.
It's just gone.
That to me seems illegal. Like, that should be illegal. Because if you purchased that content, right, you bought the content, rights and all, to use that for personal viewing.
I'm sure it's in the terms of service.
Probably.
I'm sure it's in the terms of service.
I'm sure it is. I'm not saying. I don't think anybody's saying we could sue them. I just think it's really crappy.
It is. I mean, that's why I've kind of reversed. Getting older, I've reversed course on a number of things, and learn my lesson on some stuff, and definitely like physical copies of movies and stuff. That if you really care about it and you want it to exist, same with books, you really care about it, comics, you should buy the physical thing. Yeah, you just should. If you actually, this is a thing you're going to come back to over the years, like you say, a snowman movie, a holiday film for the kids or whatever, a tradition film, like you better just buy it physically and keep a player working. Games is not so easy because games, we are in a different world. You have to be online for so many of these things. Even when a lot of collectors, they want to buy a Nintendo Switch and then buy the physical cartridge. A lot of those, only half the game is on the card. You got to put the card in and the other half of the game downloads. And then the way the world is on top of that, just everything releases with a day one patch. If you want a game and you want a game to play games that are yours, just like you have the copy of Monopoly or Guess Who as a board game, the last generation you can look at, I think, is the GameCube, Xbox, and PlayStation 2 and Dreamcast. Really? That's it.
Yeah,
those are this. Yeah. Nope, 360 is too. That's the next gen. What? 360, PlayStation 3. That's the next generation.
What are you talking about? I have all my 360 games still work.
For now. Like because 360 is, once we got to 360, that was like the era of more and more things were going online. So more and more games are going to be dependent upon maybe a patch later that fixed it, or just the, like access to servers.
So yes and no. The 360 was kind of the era of the surge of multiplayer online, where the game always came with two aspects. You had your offline single player or co-op, and then you had your online Xbox servers. The online stuff won't work anymore.
Right.
They shut this, but the single player stuff does work, and I know that because I actually just recently played like the original Modern Warfare.
Okay.
It still works. Like you can still play it and stuff like that. Like it still works. The discs, the physical discs will work. What you're talking about, I think, is late era 360, early era Xbox One. That is where they had the always online servers, and that's where it started getting like,
Yeah, you're probably right. 360 and PS3 era is probably pretty safe there.
That's always been a gripe when they're like, oh, it's a single player game. If it's a single player game, you should not need an internet connection. Period.
Yeah,
true.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to die on that hill.
I won't argue with you because I know very little about gaming systems and gaming compared to you two. I feel like I know
you're
something.
You're gonna know more soon, Phil.
Right. True.
I could talk for hours, and I'm sure your viewers are loving that content.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, it's all good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember if you're on this episode. The episode we talked about it, Tony. I don't think you were, but I talked about, should I get a Switch? Should I wait for the Switch 2? Because it's maybe rumored to be maybe coming out in spring, but something that Nintendo denies. They're like, we have no updates, actually. Frankly, it's all rumors. But
fuck you, it's all lies.
Right. I mean, it probably is, but
that's what they do.
They're just covering. But my computer's gonna die. I gotta plug it in. Anyway, I ended up buying a Switch for my kids, or like the family gift for Christmas. So
I want a Switch. John's been trying to get me to get a Switch, and like I want a Switch, but I put the Switch in the same category as the PS5 for me. Like I would love a PS5, but there's only like 2 or 3 PlayStation games I want to play, and there's only like 1 or 2 Switch games I want to play.
Sure.
Do I really want to buy an entire?
There's only 1 or 2 Switch games you want to play?
Well, there's only 1 or 2 Switch games I can know off the top of my head that.
I think what he's saying is there's, but I'm sure what you're saying is there's only 1 or 2 Switch games that are only on the Switch.
Yes,
that
because
you have your PC, you can play all kinds of stuff on there. And
sure, I guess. I suppose
so.
And my idea is, so my Phil, just so you can get some background. Here's my master plan: is that I plan to visit Minnesota again to come home. And if I can go over to John's house, I'm going to sneak and steal one of his Switches that he's got lying around, and not tell him, and then just buy a bunch of games. And then when I'm done playing, I'm just mail the games and the Switch back to John.
There you go. I mean, that's an option too.
We do have an extra Switch. Yes.
I knew that, and that is why I planned that.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, everybody's got to take their. I was just talking with a friend a few days ago and just saying how, like, it's tough for me, and like, woe is me, but I have so many hobbies that it's tough for me to focus and get any number one of them done. Like whether it's my stack of books that I need to read, or my comic books that are all come in, or the multitude of games that I have not finished, or the movies that I have not watched, like the anime that I'm like, my, the list keeps piling up. It's just one thing after another. So a person can't just, I said it's easy for Ashley because her pastime is video gaming. It's not these other things.
Sure.
It's like she really could go a long time without watching a movie or reading a book or whatever. Like her pastime is gaming. So like she can't really have hardly too many because she's going to use all the systems. It's one game, and then when that one's done, it's to the next game, and then it's to the next game. And so it's not like, well, I've played this game, I've done that. Well, now I'm going to like go through this series that I really want to catch up on. No. So I don't fault someone. You got a powerful gaming computer. You don't need to have a Nintendo Switch. If you don't think you'd have time to like invest in the Nintendo Switch, all of a sudden it just sits there, and then your powerful gaming computer's sitting there. So
I think it's a really family friendly one. I know you've kids, so but you have other gaming systems that you could probably play with your kids, I suppose, too, Tony. But
yeah. I mean, I see. The thing is my dad was always like, "Oh, we could play basketball or do football. So I could always take you 2 out of 3." Ha ha. It's like for me, I'm going to introduce Bailey to Mario Kart on the N64.
Sure.
That's how I'm going to assert my dominance in the household.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm more of a double dash guy, but yeah, we do have an old N64. Oh, can I mention one thing? I want to clarify something. Last time we talked, John, I on the pod, I said I gave my Xbox One to Tony. I didn't clarify that I was referring to my brother-in-law, Tony, and not you, Tony. So I wonder if people were like, Phil gave his Xbox to Tony. Like, that's weird.
You told me. I don't remember if it was on stream or not.
I think I did. It was because I remember watching it back and being like, oh, they probably think I'm talking about Tony, who were on the pod together.
When you first said it, I did think, I'm like, no. I don't know when that would happen.
I was like, I don't even think they were like that close, that Phil would be like sending Tony.
Phil and I are just hanging out all the time.
My wife's brother, who needed his gaming system crapped out on him, and we weren't using ours, so we just gave it to him. But
secretly, I'm trying to source a SNES myself because I got into gaming right at the end of SNES and the beginning of the N64. Like I played a lot of SNES at like friends' houses and stuff who'd been into gaming before me. So I'm trying to source one of those. So if anybody has one, I'm talking like SNES. I don't want that like the new thing. It's like, oh, it's a mini SNES, but it's all digital. No, analog. That.
I played that a little bit at like friends and cousins' house, and I played like regular Nintendo and Super Nintendo here and there, but my parents weren't big on video games like in our house. And so the first system that I got, my parents said like, when you like work and can buy your own, then I guess, you can have a gaming system. So I think I was in high school before I actually bought one for myself, and it was a original PlayStation. Like that was the first gaming system I ever had that I had of my own that I played a lot.
I got the N64 for Christmas, and I mean, I'm not going to do it now, but like, I remember that was the Christmas that I remember specifically. The feeling, the joy, the like.
That bodes well for me, Tony. That bodes well for me.
Oh yeah, that is
memories.
That is in Pixar. If you've ever seen the movie Pixar, God, what's the one about the emotions?
Not up on my Pixar movies, but I think I know what you mean.
It's the core memory. That's a core memory for me.
There you go. Okay, I know. Yes, I've seen that movie many times. I just can't think of the name. My kids like that one. You're right. So
no, I'm the exact same. I definitely remember the Nintendo 64 coming out. That was revolutionary.
Like that's it's so because people like kids today. Younger gamers who are getting into the gaming, like there's a lot of great games, right? And it's like such a good time to really get into gaming. So if any of your viewers are like just now getting into gaming or have that kind of passion for video game design or stuff like that, the shift from like late 80s, early 90s, SNES, Sega, Dream, like to like the Dreamcast, the N64, the stuff like that. Like that leap, I don't think I've felt that leap in video games since then. Like that. That was such a huge shift. In
you mean from the Super Nintendo to and the so I suppose Sega Saturn,
the Sega Saturn,
the 64.
The to the N64, the Dreamcast, the PlayStation, like that, like.
I remember the N64 when the graphics first started coming out and everyone being like, "Whoa!" I remember what you're talking about, like a big jump, yeah.
Like that exploded not only the graphical design, but like the idea of game design at its core and its element of what makes a game, gameplay, puzzle design. Critical thinking of like how you move through a physical space on a screen to go from platforming 2D from left to right scroll to a physical 3D environment was just completely mind-blowing.
I remember that first Mario game on N64, like the first flagship game, and playing it in like the store and being like, this is crazy. Like run around in a 3D space. I do remember what you're talking about. I don't know that much about like game design and game history and stuff, but I do remember that being pretty wild.
MJ's in the chat. She says hi. Hello, MJ.
What up?
Yeah, we're just talking a little bit of gaming, MJ. Oh, that's your area of expertise,
I was gonna say
actually.
it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a good time because this time we transition pretty quick here into, I think, our main topic. But I had these ready to go. I might as well show it now while MJ has appeared. A wild MJ has appeared. Let's see what I got here. Here it is. So here is a sample of MJ playing Dead by Daylight. That's what she does three times a week. And yeah, we're going to have this Sunday be gaming with her for a Mario Kart stream that if you guys were cool, you'd be a part of.
I want to be part of, but you're
I
not.
know.
You're not arranging it for after Christmas.
I'm hoping this is going to be a
regular
it's a test stream.
Sure.
It should be like 8 o'clock Central to 10 o'clock. So just a couple hours and just see how it goes. Make sure the tech process is smooth and all that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
The new hair she's got rocking.
Why don't you work the bugs out?
I've seen
I'll
that
let you work
new
the bugs out for the first time, and then I'll join when you gotta have it all figured out.
Nice.
Ooh, charity stream tomorrow.
Yep. So make sure to follow her on Twitch, MJ Honeybee, with a charity stream on the 16th here. So
hang on a second. Wicked Pizzle. What is he? Is he in this game with her?
I don't know.
No, it can't be him. That's funny. That's JP's name on things.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me somehow.
Huh.
I recognize that trashy name anywhere.
No, that sounds like JP.
Well, my favorite name of one of our friends, I won't say, is I don't know if it doesn't matter if I say it. I don't think it's Poopy Feast 420. I think is what it is.
Do you know who that is?
I do know who that is. Yes.
Does he even? You played with him?
I got a long time ago. I got his gamer tag.
Is it someone I know as well? Can you tell me who it is?
I don't think so.
No, I don't know. Oh, okay. He's a friend of ours from college. The story behind it. Did you ever hear, John? You ever hear the story of why that was actually Poopy Feast 420? Why that was his name?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, we will not. I do not say real names unless specified.
Right.
So way back when you were creating gamer tags for Xbox, and then Poopy Feast 420 was actually what was Sony's version of gamer tags?
It's just PlayStation ID. I think it's called.
PlayStation ID. Yeah. So we were sitting in a dorm room. And he was going through he like everyone kind of, back then, right? You kind of had a list of the names that you would use, and if they weren't taken, then you grabbed them, right? So I have about 3 or 4 names that I cycle through, and hopefully none of those 4 are taken, because if they are, I'm screwed because I have no other names that I usually use. His kept on getting used. It was every single one that he put in was already in use, and I kid you not, he probably went through about 15 different names. He finally got so frustrated. He just wrote that in and hit enter, and he's just as a joke, and then it stuck. And he's like, "Shit!" So
literally,
and that was back before you couldn't change it. You could not change it. And if it was linked to your email, you couldn't get another email to link back. It was so janky back then that you were just you were so screwed.
Wow.
Poopy Feast 420.
I have to say, Ashley has told me a number of times she's jealous of that username.
Poopy Feast 420?
Yeah, she'd take that one.
Mine was, I had one that I made out of anger called Eat a Poo Poo.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And now I have my original one that I have on my Xbox. I have it for my Xbox, and I have it for my my Steam name and stuff like that. And I'm like, I gotta really change this. Like, this is like edgelord, type crap. And it's just like,
But there's I think there's a like a, I don't know what's the word for it. It's something kind of, it's not nostalgic, but there's a charm to the idea that we, at that age got in so early to it. Like for me, I'm Xbox and PlayStation. I feel like I could pick any name I wanted basically because it was so early.
I have no numbers in my username.
Nice.
I got a username with no numbers.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, one more thing I want to plug, and then let's get into Jujutsu Kaisen. Tony, you want to see this here yet too? Here's our friend Mike, Track Mouse 34. Here's one of his videos. So everybody make sure you go and follow him. Track Mouse 34. I think it's track_mouse for Instagram.
I believe you're right. Yes.
So I don't know if Mike toots his own horn on this, but I got to let you guys know how awesome this is. So,
seems
so Mike and I went to college together, and he's the one that really kind of sparked my love of motor. Like, I was always into cars growing up. Like, I worked on cars ever since I was young. And then, like, I'm not going to get into it, but we can have another whole thing. It's like him and I all the time talk about cars. But Mike has always been phenomenally good at like motorsports, like not even just games, but in reality. Sure. So to see him that he's able to build, first of all, he built this entire Miata. For your viewers who don't know what this is an NC Miata. He's built it, from the ground up in terms of how he wants it to handle on a track. And then he's able to get out there and run this car with semi-professional race car drivers. Yeah. And he is dominating on track times.
Oh, nice.
It's so cool to see him do this, because just for how long we've been playing racing games and motorsport games, and to see him go out and actually live this and do this as a passion is really cool. So I'm really proud of him. He's done a really good job.
No, that's well said, because I don't know that much about it, but it's been a lot of fun to watch him. And it is true, like you said, it's how it's like, he's using a car that and keeping up with these other cars that are like outpowering him. And so it's really cool.
Yeah, he's underpowered and he's keeping up with them because he's just, his lines are so clean, his execution is clean. He is a very much a basics execution driver. Right. He is very critical on how he runs his races, because he knows that he doesn't have leeway to make mistakes, because he doesn't have the power to make those mistakes up. So he tries to be as clean as possible all the time.
Sounds like the show Overtake.
It really does. Yeah. I was just thinking that.
It very much is. And then you can ask him about his Road America where he blew his motor. He loves telling that story.
I'm sure he does.
It's the typical what happens when you're not focusing for 1 second.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Well, we make sure to check that out. Tony, we're gonna get into spoilery stuff now here. I know the show's long, but you'll catch up sometime here.
Yeah,
and, I will.
If not, the next show. So, anything you want to promote quick, or any last things you want to say here?
Oh man, anything I want to say on the spot? I don't know. Just all your viewers, be awesome out there. You got a passion, follow your dream, be good.
All right. Perfect.
Wise words.
Talk to you later, Tony.
See you later, guys.
Let's see. MJ shares her love for Tony. She says, I love Tony.
Aww. By the way, I'm a Steelers student.
I never left.
I mean, I can kick you.
I mean, you can stay. You're just going to hear some stuff that.
Oh, there we go. I was in full screen. Leave studio is not there in full screen. All right, now I'm leaving. Bye.
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 Nice. Okay, so we do need to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
So,
we do.
you know, we waited, and you managed to get in up to the most current episode.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Oh
That's
man,
good,
I watch them every Thursday night. I'm like, new episode tonight. I watch it every week. I know you wait and watch 3 in a row, which is, nope. I'm like, it reminds me when I was a kid, and I was like, I can't watch a new episode until it airs on that night of the week.
Right.
It's kind of what it's
Yeah,
like.
no.
Like, I do kind of like it. It is a little bit of a nostalgic throwback, but yeah, no, it's been the last 3. They've been really good. They all have.
Yeah, I mean,
Especially good.
hey,
these
okay.
last 3.
Yeah, so we don't have, just talking of him now, Debbie Downer Mike. We don't have.
I think
him on the
Mike.
show to.
I think I agree with you, and I like where you're going with that. I do think Mike is gonna, when he comes on this pod again, mark this, Mike, when you watch this episode. I predict that you do like these last 3 episodes, and you can tell us when you're on again if I'm wrong or not.
You know, it's kind of sad. The one thing that I don't know if it's been for you, that's crept in my mind, and I don't know why necessarily on this one, because I know it's been a thing on other shows, but like I keep thinking about all the chaos behind the scenes on this show now, with the like crazy work conditions and the employees one after another complaining and taking the social media with it. And then I think there was a walkouts too the other day.
I guess I haven't heard that.
And there was talk of like, some of the episodes going to TV, not quite done, with some things. And it's just making me look at things with the critical eye. It's like, is this how this was intended to be seen now? Or was this meant to look a little different? There is one, and then in me picking at it like that, I'm seeing there's this one sort of ground effect when it's like Mojito here like takes over the whole ground with a blobular thing and stuff. It looks out of place. Art looks clashy from the rest of everything else. Looks kind of flat. And I'm just like, was this the intent now, or am I noticing the cracks because of all the and I don't want to be thinking of that as I'm watching it.
Sure. Yeah, I guess I do. I mean, I get really pulled in. I mean, I know you're sure you do too, and maybe I need to be more critical, but I tend to just watch and let it just come to me, and I'm not really like taking notes or really looking at it super critically. I'm just really immersed in the storyline and what's happening. And then what I would do if I was more prepared is I would like rewatch it again and then really look at it more critically and take notes and stuff. And I've thought about doing that in the past. Still haven't, but maybe I'll get there someday. But I do think about it a little bit, I guess. But I guess overall, I think it still looks so good. So I'm still pretty pleased. And I do find it unfortunate to hear about all the really bad working conditions. And I mean, they should just put the episodes out as they have them. And if they take a little longer, then I'll still watch it. If I have to wait 3 weeks between episodes, then I will, I guess. But I'd rather people have good working conditions, I guess.
Right, because we just talked about, a lot of the upside of kind of the way things were and maybe some of the downsides, the way things are now. But this is sort of in part a downside to the way things were, in the sense that they're feeling, beholden to a television release schedule.
Right.
And so like here is your air slot in Japan when this is going to premiere, and you better have the next episode and the next episode, everything every week, and they have that planned out. And I think that's is a thing where it's not necessary anymore. Like I think if you want to do that thing, it needs to be done further in advance. You can't be like working on the season yet. The season needs to be done when you start putting it out.
Right.
which I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. What if this show came out 6 months later?
Yeah.
It's still one of the biggest anime around. I guess people are going to come and see it. And, it's just, I don't know.
There's plenty of shows, like say Stranger Things, for example. And I get that's like animated versus not animated, but that'd be like years between seasons. And not everyone wants to wait. I still watch them, and I just when it's not airing currently or like just dropped, I don't really think about it. But then I'm like, oh, it's been a couple years since I bet there's a new season of Stranger Things coming out soon, and then I maybe like every once in a while I'll like Google about it. It's like okay to take big long breaks. Lots of shows do it, and then like you said, just take the time to get it done and then air it. I don't know. Maybe it's more complicated than that, but that seems like a pretty good suggestion. Yeah.
Right. But besides that, so that aside, I think that these, what'd you think of the like kind of asides we took? We took a little bit.
I liked them.
Covered. Okay, yeah.
In the show, like when they did the cuts.
Yeah.
What about her?
Yeah, like a slowing of the pace a little bit. I
liked it a lot.
Because we get a little bit of background. It was an interesting sort of background for Nobara, and kind of weird how like at first I thought she was talking, and then it was sort of her friend and going through that. That was interesting. Yeah,
I liked that it was actually really long. We had so many fights back to back to back to back for like several episodes. And there still was fighting in that episode, so it wasn't like there wasn't any. I just thought it was really a really nice, well done like backstory, and it was still really compelling and interesting, even though it was, and you didn't know exactly at that time why they were giving you her whole backstory. I mean,
it was. I mean, it was
probably foreshadowing,
not looking good,
right? Yes, but yeah, sure.
But I mean,
do you like it?
I did. I don't know that we need to always do the here's my backstory before that character's gone. Like we could have something, I understand like it always feels like it's a now or never. We better tell it now because it's not going to be as relevant later, obviously.
Right. Sure.
But at the same time, I should ask, so again, spoilers, spoilers for Jujutsu Kaisen here.
Yeah.
Do you think Nobara is alive?
I think so, because, that one dude that came there with Toto was like, don't get your hopes up, but it's not like a 0% chance. I feel like the show is going to like... And they're telling us as the viewers too, like, don't get your hopes up. But I feel like, why would you add that in if then you're actually going to make her like completely dead? Right. It's just that why do that? But maybe
I agree. I think I agree. I know it'd be like just literally to get your hopes up, just to not. I mean, there'd have to be something we're missing that she needs to do yet. Like maybe she'd be I don't know. I think that if she is gone, is kind of it was an emotional, well done ending. If she,
I agree. I mean, it was really, it was super tragic and sad, and really, I agree, really well done. But to your point, there's more for her to do. I really think this season or this part of the arc, the Shibuya incident, in kind of a subtle ways, is telling us that these three, Yuji, Nobara, Nobara? No.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Megumi. I think they're all really important. I initially kind of in season 1 thought it was just like Yuji mostly and Gojo, and these two are like his friends, but we're going to be like side characters. I think they're the three of them are very important to the overall storyline for the whole show. I just get this vibe, and so I think she probably can't be dead because it's like the show's about the three of them. I feel like.
Okay.
more so than anything.
Yeah,
else.
I mean, I think the show's done well to sort of make us be like, hey, there's other characters here that are actually really important.
Yeah.
And so maybe they are expendable. Maybe they will, we will move on from them. But yeah, I think maybe you're right. Like maybe we are taking the time to build the importance and why they're different. Like I kind of like if Nobata is here and she's sort of like the underdog, but she's got really fun tricks up her sleeve. She also feels like she's not, I don't know, her powers don't seem so unexplainable or crazy, I guess.
Yeah. Right.
I like her little sort of like, I don't know, sadistic side,
Yeah.
So yeah, whereas Nanami, I was very sad about.
Yeah.
I don't know that it was done the best, but I get that maybe his story was done. I get that, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of agree. I don't think hers is. So.
Yeah. But it was still really cool. I kind of flipped through that episode, just kind of scroll through it just to remind myself all what happened, because I watched it like 3 weeks ago. But yeah, it was it was really, I liked the little cutscene too where they like spilled the coffee on Gojo's shirt. Like that was a nice little, just showing again, these three are really close friends and they're all three really important to the story. I think these cutscenes are trying to tell us.
Okay, yeah.
And as the primary motivation for Yuji as the main character. I mean, the main character. But
yeah. Okay, so Nobara, from what we can tell, another like strong motivation for Yuji here. Another, oh my God, fallen comrade. What do I do?
Yep.
And what do you think of his sort of breakdown and then pick me up? By a fan favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really relatable. I think that you could put yourself in his shoes and be and be feeling like you want to give up and like being so confused ethically and I don't know. It's just I think you could I can't imagine being in that place emotionally. So. I thought it was like pretty true to life for someone who'd been through what he'd been through. I loved when Toto came and did the like little talk, and that was super cool. And I don't know if that's like a very stereotypically anime thing, or not stereotypically, but like it seems like, I mean, I was expecting something to happen and someone to come, but I really liked how they did it, and it was just really a cool, fun, like rousing pick-me-up episode.
Sure. Yeah, no, his speech was good. I thought it was, it made sense. I still am one of those, like, I don't know, Yuji, he's been through the ringer here a lot, and it's one of those things, it feels very shonen in the sense that, like, on the one hand, he's not just doing, like, a Dragon Ball power-up thing. Like, if this was Dragon Ball, Nobara would get injured or killed, and then that would make something snap in our hero, and they would ascend to a new higher power level than ever before.
Right.
We didn't really have that here, which I liked, so it's not the same kind of thing.
Right.
But at the same time, he is defeating the guy that's been like messing him up now for a while, and he is like running low on. So I don't know. I guess was the pairing, the duo, the team up with Toto and him, was it convincing that kind of together they could defeat Mahito? I
mean, yeah, I think so. They almost didn't, and it's still unclear if they will with the Geto showing up at the very end, but the last episode. But and they sustained substantial injuries. I mean, Toto's arm's gone. I he's not getting that back. I think he clapped once at the end with like his stump and his hand, maybe, and he said he didn't. Like it doesn't matter. It's not about the actual like
Smash.
clap sound. Yeah, squelch, right? Gross. But I mean, it's badass, but it's still. But so it's like maybe he can still use his power, but he was kind of saying like my arms don't matter; they're ornamental. Like my power, I like that whole vibe where it's just like, well, I don't have arms, I'll fight you with my legs, and I'll fight you with my until I whatever I've left, basically. And it's about your it's about what's
determination
and your determination, and so and your will to overcome.
Yep.
So I Toto, I just really dig that. Oh, it was so cool having him come back. They had a couple of different really cool animation scenes with the two of them fighting. Like when he collapsed down like a whole parking structure on top of him, and when the smoke cleared, they're both just like standing there still. That was really cool. There's a couple scenes where their eyes like glowed when they kind of like went into the shadow. I love that. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, I was not expecting him to show up, but
right,
like you say, kind of expecting someone to, you know, or something's gonna happen here.
I thought it was the principal at first, the deep voice. I was like, oh, maybe that's his principal. Because have we seen him do? He does those like cursed puppet things.
Yeah,
but we've never seen him in like a battle.
Not really. No.
I mean, you'd think that at some point you'd see some of these like respected members of the Jujutsu sorcerer community like battling.
So one thing with the end where when Geto shows up, my question is, I just thought of this now, is like, does this mean that we're going to get a flashback to him fighting Nene?
That's what I wondered too.
Whatever. Yeah. Like, is that, that doesn't, or is she still trying to catch up with him? I'm hoping for that, I guess, because otherwise it spells trouble.
Except she went off to find him when she split off with Yuji, and he's been doing stuff for a while now. And I mean, if she's been trying to just find Geto this whole time, that doesn't really make sense in the timeline, but who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, who knows what barriers they'll throw in her way or something like that. Yeah. But
I have to say, and I don't know if you can put a screenshot up there when they said this thing, but when the narrator was describing one of someone's powers in this most recent episode, Toto's or something, they said a sentence where it was like, well, they can do this, and we've talked about this, but they can do this because of this, this, and this. And it's like all the words were just like completely made up. And I was like, that doesn't actually explain anything. Like those aren't like words that would mean anything in any sort of context that anybody would be familiar with. So just kind of what we talked about, where they try to explain these things, but it's like, just to do it. You don't have to tell us, because it doesn't make sense anyway when you explain it. It was such a funny, I'll have to find it, because it was such a funny thing. I like laughed out loud. I was like, well, that explains it all right there.
Yeah. So is it like really close to the end?
No, I don't think so. I think it was like, it's not.
Oh yeah. The whole big thing that was in Toto's imagination.
That was cool. Yeah, that was fun.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that. I forgot that he had his big like thing for an idol or whatever Harishi was, that he was like waiting in line for and all that.
Oh right. Yes. I couldn't remember who that was in the moment. Oh yes, that idol. Oh, you know what? It was when they were explaining the domain expansion part. So if you want to look in that spot, if there's one where it's just like, you'll see it, you'll know it when you see it. It's just like the most ridiculous like statement explanation.
Yep. No, but we've talked about that kind of thing a lot.
Right.
It's definitely exemplary of that sort of thing. I thought these 3 episodes did stay relatively slim on those kinds of things.
They did.
I thought that was a improvement for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I still think we're in this mode where it's too much battle. I'm getting they've just lost impact. You know, now moments like they managed with Nobara and taking time to slow down and talk about her past and stuff like that, those are then highlights. That's good.
Right. Helps.
And then Toto's pep talk, good, you know, that kind of thing. But I think
the scene with his idol was funny. I mean, those are nice little moments thrown in.
Yep. Okay, so overall, I think these episodes are pretty good. I
liked them a lot.
So on that topic, before I get to one other thing, like, do you think Geto will save him, or do you think he'd be like, you've worn out your use to me, or like you've lost, you're pathetic? I think that
one. I think so? He's going to be like, now that you know and they know you can be beaten, how could you win in the future? Like, they already know how to beat you now. So to your point, what use are you to me or anybody? So you might as well just be exercised.
Sure. Maybe he'll do it himself. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
I had a screen ready a bit ago. Just wanted to, like, we kind of got another little bit of Mekamaru, kind of his final little goodbye and talking, because we hadn't seen the students from the other school or whatever,
right?
The competing school,
right?
And it's like, where are they at? And then we find out that Mekamaru kind of set up a thing to get them out, to make sure they would be away.
Yeah.
And his teammates handle that in different ways. What'd you think of this scene?
Yeah, I thought it was really well done. It was interesting. I had forgotten that it was Mekamaru was a professor at the other school, or at the other students.
No, he was just he was. Remember, he was the one that his body was so damaged, he was stuck in the tub and he was all hooked up. So he would control a robot body.
Yep. But
he was just one of the students.
Oh, he was
along with Panda. Yeah, he was along with Panda and Maki, and
so they're in the same school. So, but why wouldn't he send all his? Why would he send these students away? These are the ones from the Tokyo side, right?
Right. So Mekamaru, I think, is from that school. I think. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Right. Okay. So those are his.
Isn't he? Because
I think you're right. Yeah. I don't think, because it's like Panda and Curse Speech User and
Maki are from this school and the year above. Yeah. And so the Mekamaru, this girl on screen, the blue hair. Sorry, I don't know all their names. The
students still, right?
Lady on the broom, all those. Yeah.
I mean, that was a nice moment. I think it's another nice scene they throw in to break up some of the battles.
Yeah, and I think it was, I don't know, we had sort of a good ending, I thought. We kind of had a little backstory between Mekamaru and her before, quite a number of episodes ago. But but this was just a little more added. If there was any question for her, like the feelings that he had for her, now they're there. And then we get to, again, just getting out of the way, like where those other students were.
Right. That is helpful.
Involved in this battle.
That is helpful. So. Yeah. I think for me, I think this goes along with your saying, it's just like, it's a little much still on the battles and the action, in terms of the breakdown, of the overall pacing of the episodes. I think what I feel like it needs is I feel like it's ready. We need to wrap it up until we get to a kind of a whole, between arc, lull, you have these arcs where there's big plot events, and then you go into these lulls. You kind of need those. They're a little breather. We're ready for a full breather, where they're not trying to in the middle of an overall large scale battle with multiple foes.
We need an assessment of the situation.
Right.
And for everybody to like understand where we're at and what the, you know, reiterate what the stakes are and who's all dead and who's all injured.
Everyone
and like
regroup.
just, and where the mission needs to be. What do we do with Itadori now and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I think we just need that, but I'm sure it's coming, but there's obviously more.
Yeah, but the question was, will that be the end of the season? Like it will just end and then we'll have to wait for that sort of reassessment for the next season?
I wonder.
Or are we going to sort of get that at the end of this?
Yeah.
You know?
That would be, yeah.
I hope we don't have to wait. I
hope
want,
not. Yeah.
You know, like Itadori gets locked up or something, you know, because we can't trust him now with, you know, and I don't know. There's some sort of like
Gojo still trapped going into the season break with like Gojo still trapped in the prison. Like, is he going to get out at the end of this arc or?
I don't think so. I think he's gone for a while.
Oh,
I think everybody else needs to fend for themselves. Yeah.
I mean,
so all the Gojo Sims gonna cry themselves asleep every night because it's he's gone.
Man, they've been good about not even doing any flashbacks to him in the prison realm.
Yeah, they're not cutting
not cutting him at all.
Anything with him is in the past. You know, in short little bits, like the comedy thing with his shirt. He walks in, you know, my shirt.
Oh, right.
You know,
yes.
and then like cutting back in a couple episodes ago to reveal that Megumi's family's like inherited trait is against you know that sort of thing. But
I think that's been good. Yeah.
Well, you've marked that we've marked your words that Mike is gonna have liked these episodes better.
I think relative to some of the other ones we watched and some of the criticisms he had, which I agree with a lot of them. I mean, I still enjoyed them, but I can see where he's coming from with some of the scaling stuff. I was kind of looking for that in some of these battles, and and it's very possible that Mike's eye for such things is much more discerning than mine. In fact, I'm quite certain it is. But I was kind of like, I think all this like feels that like true and scaled correctly and like animated well and like not too confusing, like the Sukuna battle against that white 12th demon form or whatever, which was very like, whoa, what am I watching here? So I think I was watching from like a Mike lens, and I was like, I think he's gonna like these more.
Yeah. But see, part of the problem they gave themselves is that we went from the most crazy battle we've ever seen, the kind of like trying to up the scale to astronomical proportions here, to then moving back down to lesser power people like so quickly afterwards. It's sort of like, I don't know, is it deflating in that way? Like we already saw the destruction and the power that was like Sukuna.
Sure.
And we saw it in 2 battles back to back. Yeah. And so now we have the people that are less good.
Sure.
You know? Yeah. And I don't know. It just feels like you should be ramping up to that instead, you know?
I think it's like we're like big, and then we're gonna like go down, and then like go. It's like, you know, it's like changes of. It's keeping you on your toes. They're gonna be like crazy battles. They're gonna be like less. I mean, there's still a crazy battle, and these guys are still crazy powerful. But I don't think so. I mean, and I think the emotional impact. These 3 episodes, maybe that's why I like them so much better. There's a much higher emotional impact to me with Yuji and Toto fighting Mojito than there was like Sukuna fighting either of his 2 battles. I was like, it's like demons fighting demons or beings. I don't have any emotional investment in all these people, and you know, so
no, that's true.
That's part of it too, I think.
The other thing that always stands out to me, I'm still like, there's still buildings left. Just in this one, they took down the Shibuya 109, like big building. It's like, how is that not decimated already? You know, and then there's still people left.
Yeah.
every once in a while when Mojito needs to take someone, you know, it's like there's people there I can take still. So I just think that's a little strange, but yeah, I think overall the episodes were, I did enjoy them more. That's a good point. I think there is a more emotional stakes involved in the battles, cared about the characters a little bit. You saw Yuji going through it, which makes sense, as you'd say, you know, what he'd be feeling. It makes sense that he'd be despondent and like, time to give up. And then everything with Nobata and her backstory. So yeah, I think it was good.
Yeah. Well, it's like being in war. Like when you're like observing all that stuff and losing comrades, and like that's like instant trauma that you're experiencing like in real time. And that can be like overwhelming just to see so much like violence like in real life. Like I've been fortunate to not have personally having to experience something like that, but I've just heard, you know, I familiar enough with like PTSD and stuff to know that like some of that like battlefield type experiences will like instantly damaging and like, you know, like very long-term effects.
I hope they lean into it. I hope they lean into that for him, you know. Yuji.
Totally. I mean, it's a
not
lot.
Just a magic thing. Yeah.
Right. I mean that you can't, I mean, it's like this kind of a job is similar to like in real life, you know, emergency services, you know, paramedics, police officers, firefighters. It's like, you know, trauma bonding. These people are like doing really hard jobs, fighting really dangerous things. You know, military people, like I kind of referenced before. That's the kind of like work they're doing and like connections they have with each other. And so, you know, I think it's just kind of a parallel of like that's what you can kind of compare to in real life, and like what the kind of things these guys would be dealing with from like how the job they do affects their like mental health and the way they relate to other people and work as a team. And I don't know, so it's just really interesting. So I agree with you. It'll be good if they lean into that.
Toto really did sort of give the kind of marine talk, really, or something like that. You see, it was, you know, we are, when you become a jujutsu sorcerer, you are one of us, like all of us, and we're all, you know, in this together. One of us is down. It doesn't matter. You know, like it's not about you. It's about us as a whole, as a unit, and we'll sacrifice, you know, your memory and your effort by giving up, and that's all that sort of thing. So.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's really, I think they will lean into it. It's good.
Okay, well, that's Jujutsu Kaisen season 2, episodes 19-21. Probably should just be saying like what the episodes are.
Yeah, it was.
Did they just name it's like 40 something, or I don't know what, you know.
Oh, right. I know the last one was Metamorphosis, I think, and then the other one was
but like the way they're numbered, you know, is 44 and 45 was so that's I just used to going by season this and then episodes.
Sure.
So we're sticking with it.
The last 3 episodes currently available. I mean, I think people can figure it out too.
But I hope everybody had a good time. Thanks everybody that tuned in. Thank you, MJ Honeybee in the chat. Appreciate you being here. Again, everybody make sure to follow her on Twitch, MJ Honeybee. She's doing a charity stream tomorrow. So follow her and then you can see when that is happening. Corey Barton was in the chat right at the beginning. I don't think I shouted him out quickly enough, but I do appreciate him jumping in the chat. I know he's heavily influenced by manga in his comic book works, so
it's cool.
It's very cool. He has a comic book I should pull up. I was gonna grab it or whatever, but it's called Kozor, and the art in it is crazy. It's a spectacular comic book. So I'll show that off sometime. And otherwise, Popcast on the Rocks is the name of the regular podcast and the name of the channel. So please follow, like, share, subscribe. We're doing the live streaming thing on Twitch and YouTube now, both concurrently. So you can take your pick. This will also be put into podcast form, and we'll have that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and a number of other podcast directories. The video version is available on Spotify. A review would be appreciated on Apple Podcasts. So, yeah, that's about it from us. We're going to have Sunday night, the plan, about 8 o'clock Central Time. It's going to be a Mario Kart stream. Haven't done any gaming content on here for a while. Going to get a group together, be doing some Mario Karting. Hopefully that turns out well.
Not me, though. I will not be there.
Yeah, yeah. You'll get there. Hopefully it will work out, and we'll do them on a somewhat regular of a basis. And then Christmas is coming, but we're going to try to squeeze in one more episode of the regular show next week yet too. So yeah, lots to come. Subscribe, let us know how we're doing, all that sort of thing. And yeah. Any parting words, Phil, before everybody says goodbye till maybe after Christmas,
Oh yeah, yes. Just I hope everyone has a safe and happy holidays.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining me, Phil, and we'll see everybody next time.
Sounds good. See ya.